Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Alessia and I make videos related to writing, true crime, and the lifestyle. Today we're doing another true crime episode here on my YouTube channel, and this one is really interesting. It's actually an attempted murder case. And I love covering attempted murder cases because not only are they always batshit crazy, but the victim survives, which is really refreshing and just nice to see. So that is what we're doing today, and if you're interested, then please keep watching. So this case happened in October 2015, so it's pretty recent. But it's become pretty popular in the media lately because of a book that is coming out on August 6th, written by the survivor called I Survived. So this is 44-year-old Victoria Cilliers. She is from Amesbury, Wiltshire, which is in England, and she works as an army physiotherapist. So Victoria is a really adventurous person, and one of her favorite hobbies is skydiving, which I can't personally imagine, but she really loves it. And as of 2015, she completed over 2,600 successful jumps. So she was not a newbie, she really was into skydiving and she knew what she was doing. And this is Victoria's husband, Emil Cilliers. The pair met in 2009 after meeting at an army base, and they quickly fell in love. She was swept off her feet, and they later married in 2011. The couple has 2 young children together, April and Ben. And from the outside looking in, this perfect little English nuclear family had everything going for them, and they had everything they could ever possibly want in life. But unfortunately, this was not the case. By 2015, so just a few years after the couple had been married, they started to experience some pretty severe marital problems, and this was mainly because of Emil, who was a piece of shit. So Emil was a serial cheater and had multiple affairs during his marriage with Victoria. He also had a pretty bad spending problem, and he would constantly lie to Victoria about all of the money that was mysteriously disappearing from her bank accounts. Now, despite his 2 young children, April and Ben, who were aged 1 and 3 at the time, Emil was constantly leaving on work trips, and by work trips, I of course mean that he would go and meet up with his various mistresses. So understandably, the stress of Emil's cheating and the stress of Emil's spending problem really started to take its toll on Victoria. And because of all of this, Emil and Victoria's relationship was actually teetering on the edge of divorce. But Victoria was still in love with Emil, and she really wanted to make things work. And in fact, she was determined to make things work. So like I said, one of Victoria's favorite pastimes was skydiving. And that is exactly what she was doing on Easter Sunday in 2015. And she was skydiving over the Salisbury Plains, which looks like a pretty popular area for skydive enthusiasts. So the skydiving plan was actually Emil's idea, and he suggested that he bring along their 3-year-old daughter April so the family could enjoy some, bonding time together. Now, Victoria was really happy that Emil suggested that they all go skydiving together. She was really looking forward to spending quality time with her eldest daughter and her husband, and it was a chance to repair their relationship, and she was actually really looking forward to the weekend. So like I said, Victoria had completed over 2,600 jumps by 2015, and right before she had to go up in the plane for her session, Emil conveniently offered to take their 3-year-old daughter April to the bathroom, and he was actually carrying Victoria's parachute for her as like a doting husband that's carrying this heavy bag for his wife sort of thing. So he ended up taking this parachute that he was carrying into the bathroom along with their daughter April. And when he returned from the bathroom with April, he handed Victoria her parachute and she was on her way. So Victoria began the jump like normal, but terrifyingly, when she ended up jumping out of the plane, she discovered that her parachute wouldn't open, and neither would the backup parachute. And I cannot imagine the terror that Victoria felt as she plunged to the ground. It honestly would keep me up at night. I don't even like heights to begin with, so I can't imagine what she was feeling while she was falling. Now, Victoria was an experienced jumper, so as she was falling, this badass lady actually tried to untwist the lines in her parachute so it would hopefully slow her descent. But unfortunately, even with untwisting her lines, this was unable to slow her fall. So Victoria ended up falling 3,000 feet to the ground, and she landed in a soft field that had recently been plowed. So I guess the grass was extra soft. So the people running the skydiving session honestly expected to find Victoria's dead body in the field, but miraculously, she was still alive. So Victoria was rushed to the hospital where she sustained some pretty serious injuries. So Victoria had broken her pelvis, her ribs, had fractured her spine in 4 different places, and had a collapsed lung. So this poor woman was in a lot of pain. And all of the doctors at the hospital were just amazed that Victoria survived, and they ended up telling her that the only reason she survived was the fact that she landed in that soft grassy field and that she had a small body weight. So there was pretty much a 1 in a million chance that Victoria could have survived, and the fact that she did is so amazing. Just imagine those odds, a 1 in a million chance of possibly landing in that soft grass. So Victoria was very, very lucky to be alive. And even though Victoria survived, her road to recovery was extremely painful, and it was a long one. And you have to remember that she had a 1-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter at this time, so it was very difficult to balance childcare and also recovering. And during her 3-week stay in the hospital recovering, Emile acted incredibly cold and unsympathetic towards Victoria, almost as if he was inconvenienced that his wife had this terrible accident. And after a while, Emile actually stopped visiting Victoria at the hospital altogether and barely spoke to her when he finally did pick her up to drive her home. And once she finally got home, Victoria decided to really focus on building her strength and fixing her body. Like I said, she was a physiotherapist, so she had all of the knowledge and the skills to be able to do this. And she worked hard on herself for months, and I'm sure she was in a lot of pain, and I'm sure it was very frustrating, but in the end, her efforts paid off, and she was actually able to walk just a few weeks after the accident. And as Victoria healed and slowly got stronger and stronger, her life with Emile actually went back to normal for a little while, or as normal as could be, and Victoria started to fall back into her regular routine and tried to move on from the horrific accident. That was until a few months later when the British Parachute Association showed up at Victoria's house in Amesbury and told her that they were launching an investigation into her fall. They had discovered that there were slinks missing from her parachute, and slinks are the essential part of the parachute that attaches the harness to the actual parachute itself. So without them, you don't really stand a chance at surviving your fall. Now, Victoria was understandably shocked by this information, and the British Parachute Association actually contacted the local police, who opened up a proper investigation. Now, I'm sure you can guess who exactly removed Victoria's slinks from her parachute, and that was her husband, Emil Cilliers. And if you remember, he actually spent some time alone with her parachute when he took their daughter April to the bathroom. Now, this was clearly planned. Emil had put a lot of thought into this. If you remember, he was the one to actually suggest that they go skydiving in the first place, and he was alone with Victoria's parachute when he took their 3-year-old daughter April to the bathroom. So I'm not really sure what Emil expected to happen. It's pretty obvious that he would be the prime suspect for the police. And a few weeks later, the police arrested him on attempted murder charges. And at first, Victoria really didn't believe that Emil would actually try and kill her, but the more she thought about it, the more she began to put the pieces together. She thought about how he was alone with her parachute, and especially how he acted so cold and unsympathetic towards her in the hospital, almost as if she was a burden. And Victoria's belief was further proven when the police actually uncovered dozens of pictures and text messages sent between Emil and his girlfriend, Stephanie Guller. And he actually met Stephanie through Tinder, and they'd been seeing each other for quite a while. Reportedly, Emil was actually with Stephanie during the first few days of his son's Ben's life. And everything Emil told Stephanie was pretty much a flat-out lie. He had told Stephanie that Victoria had been cheating on him for quite a while and that their marriage was pretty much over. He even went as far as to tell her that his son Ben wasn't his biological son. So Stephanie pretty much knew nothing about the real Emil, and I honestly feel a little bit sorry for her. I can't imagine the shock that she must have felt when she discovered all of this information. So Emil's trial began in October of 2017, and during the trial, some more shocking information came out. It was revealed that just 1 week before Victoria's parachute accident, Emil had actually tampered with the gas in their kitchen and had tried to cause a fatal gas leak to create an explosion in an attempt to kill Victoria. And the most disturbing part about this was his children, Ben and April. They were actually inside the house with their mother at this time. And this gas leak explosion plan didn't end up working out, so that is when Emil hatched the plan to tamper with Victoria's parachute and try to kill her in that way. So during the trial, the motive for Emil's attempted murder was also revealed. Emil had a spending problem, and he was actually £22,000 in debt. And if Victoria passed away, he would have received $120,000 from her life insurance policy. And Emil wanted to take this money from his wife's death and run off with his girlfriend Stephanie and start a family together. And when he was put on the stand, Emil, of course, denied everything, just like a coward would. But of course, the jury saw right through him, and the judge ended up sentencing him to 18 years minimum in prison. So Emil continued to be a little shit even after he went to prison, and he constantly bombarded Victoria with texts and calls and letters. He somehow believed that his marriage wasn't over, even though he tried to kill her and wanted to get her back. Emil's desperate attempt to try and win Victoria back, I'm sure, was partly due to the fact that Everybody in his life had dropped him once his shocking crimes were revealed, and no one in his family or his friends really wanted anything to do with him, and he really had no one left except for Victoria, ironically, the wife he had tried to kill not once but twice. And Victoria did not stand for this, and in 2018 she signed for divorce and cut Emile out of her will. And shockingly, Emile actually has refused to sign the divorce papers, and as of filming this video, they are still legally married. And Victoria has written a book called I Survived, which will be released on August 6th. So in addition to the book, a documentary and multiple interviews have been done on Victoria and her crazy, incredible survival story, and I think that is really amazing that she gets to share her story and her resilience with the world. Victoria has been really vocal with her experience with all of the documentaries and interviews and the book she wrote, and it is her hope that Emile actually gets deported back to South Africa, where he is from, when they are officially divorced. And thankfully, this case has somewhat of a happy ending, which I love to hear. While obviously still deeply traumatized and hurt by Emile, Victoria really has tried to move on with her life and put this whole experience behind her, and she actually has begun seeing a new man in her life who is really active and involved with her kids. She still works as an army physiotherapist and actually obtained her master's degree in physiotherapy. And Victoria is raising both of her children, April and Ben, single-handedly, and she has decided that they have a right to know about what their father has done in due time. But I think the most incredible thing about Victoria is how she didn't let Emile ruin her passion for skydiving. So in October 2018, nearly 3 years to the day since her accident, Victoria actually went skydiving again. And she of course had a successful jump, and she was greeted on the ground by her 2 young children. And being able to let go of that terrible experience and be able to skydive again must have been so healing and therapeutic for Victoria, and I really applaud her in her efforts to really work through her trauma and not let something that she loved, fade away just because she had a terrible experience. So that is everything for this case. It is a really crazy one, and I love how it had a happy ending, and I hope Victoria is doing well, and I am so thankful that Emile is in prison where he should be. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and I'll see you next Monday for a brand new video. Bye!